Sarvendriyanam Nayanam Pradhanam, which means among all the sense organs, the eyes are the most important. Today, we'll know why. Wondering why there is a pizza idly vada in the thumbnail? You'll know it by the end of the video. Hi, I'm Dr. Ayyappa. I'm an eye doctor and a glaucoma specialist. And by the end of the video, I'm sure you'll be fascinated by how the nature has overcome complex problems and created a perfect eye for us. We humans are equipped with 5 basic senses: the touch, taste, smell, hearing, and vision. All these senses help us in understanding what's happening around us. However, vision is more important because 80% of what we perceive around us is through our eyes. Basically, all the senses work in a similar manner. They convert the inputs into electrical signals, and these signals are taken to the brain by specialized wires called the nerves. Out of all the 5 senses, the touch is not as specialized as others, so it is called a general sense. The other 4 senses, they are more complex, more sensitive, and they have a separate organ for each. The mouth for taste, nose for smell, ears for hearing, and the eyes for the vision. So they are called special senses. As they are sensitive, there are chances that they might get damaged due to environmental insults, and so they are preserved in secluded places. The taste is inside the mouth, the smell and the hearing are inside tunnels. However, when it comes to vision, there is a catch. The vision can't be placed in a tunnel. Try doing this. You can see that the field of vision will be very restricted when you try to keep the vision in a tunnel. So the vision should be placed in such a way that it is secure and at the same time it gets light from the maximum field of vision. And the nature is so amazing that it has created a perfect organ that addresses all these issues. Basically, the nature has to address 3 main problems in designing the perfect organ for our vision. Number 1, to keep the light sensitive part of the eye in a safe place. Number 2, to focus the light from a large area for a good field of vision. And the third and the most important problem that we'll get to know later. Vision is actually more complex than other senses. This is because there are many components of the vision, like central vision, peripheral vision, color vision, contrast sensitivity. So, to address all these, the nature has created a thin sheet of cells that convert the light into electrical signals. And this thin sheet of cells is called the retina. It is very delicate. Actually, it is as thin as a polythene cover. So, it needs a base on which it can be placed on. And at the same time, it also needs energy and nutrients to work efficiently. You know the layers of pizza, right? There is a thick base, there is a sauce on it, and there is a layer of cheese. Now imagine a bowl-shaped pizza. Nature has created something similar in the eye. It has created a base in the shape of a bowl. It has put a blood vessel-rich layer called choroid on top of it, like the sauce, and then placed the retina on top of it, like the cheese. The base of the bowl is nothing but the sclera or the white part of the eye, and it provides support to the retina. The sauce or the middle layer provides nutrients to the outer part of the retina and is called choroid. So now we have a good support for the retina. However, we know that the electrical signals from the retina should reach the brain. So the nature has created an opening on the back of the ball. The nerves start from all the parts of the retina, go to the back of the retina, go through this opening, form a bundle, and then go to the brain. Just like all the hairs are tied to form a ponytail, all the nerves from all parts of the retina are tied at the back to form a bundle called the optic nerve, which transmits the electrical signals to the brain. The base of the retina is taken care of. Now, what about the front part of the retina? If we leave a thin sheet of polythene cover in a ball, it gets crumpled and distorted. So a similar thing happens when we leave the retina as it is. So the retina needs support not only from the behind but also from the front. And the nature has another wonderful solution for this. It has created a clear jelly called the vitreous, and it has filled the ball with this clear jelly on top of the retina. It prevents the retina from getting wrinkled or crumpled. It also acts as a shock absorber and helps in protecting the retina. And finally, this whole bowl of the sclera, choroid, retina and the vitreous jelly is kept inside a socket in the skull for further protection, and that is how the problem of keeping the retina in a safe place is solved. The second problem is to focus light from maximum area onto the retina. And for this, the nature has created two specialized structures. One is the cornea, which is like a transparent glass lid which also acts as an outer protection. And the other one is the lens, which is shaped like an idli. It's like an idli but a transparent one. The lens is placed on top of the transparent jelly that we filled the ball with the help of tiny spider web-like structures called the zonules. The cornea or the dome does the majority of the focusing, and the lens, in addition to focusing, it does the minor adjustments so that the light falls exactly on the retina and we get a perfect clear picture. Now we have a problem here. Have you ever tried to burn a paper by focusing the light of the sun with a magnifying glass? Something similar happens in the eye. The cornea and the lens both combined act like a magnifying glass, and when a bright light enters the eye through this magnifying glass, there are chances that the thin sensitive retina might get damaged. So there should be something that can regulate the amount of light that enters the retina, and nature again has an incredible solution for this problem. In front of the lens or the idli, the nature has kept a vada called the iris. Iris is a donut shaped or a vada shaped structure. It is not as thick as a vada, but it's like a flattened vada with an opening in the center, and the central opening is called the pupil. The iris is so unique that based on the amount of light that enters the eye, the size of the pupil changes. When a bright light is entering the eye, the brain senses it and makes the size of the opening small so that lesser light enters the eye. When the light is dim, such as during night time, the size of the pupil becomes larger so that maximum amount of light can enter the eye. And that is how the second problem of focusing light from maximum area onto the retina is addressed. Now we are left with the final and the most important problem. Every living cell in our body needs energy, and that comes from the blood. So essentially every cell in our body has blood supply, and that is why wherever we cut, it bleeds. The cornea and the lens, the transparent structures that focus the light on the retina, also consist of living cells. However, if they have a blood supply, the transparency of the cornea and the lens will be lost, and we won't have a clear vision. So they cannot have a blood supply. In fact, they are probably the only structures with living cells which doesn't have a blood supply. So the problem here is the cornea and the lens needs energy and the supply of nutrients without any blood supply, and the nature has solved this problem like a pro. We know that the choroid or the middle layer of the PIZZA is filled with blood vessels. Somewhere in between the lens and the iris, at the front part of the choroid, a specialized structure is formed called the ciliary body. This structure filters a clear fluid that is rich in energy and nutrients. And this clear fluid called aqueous goes in between the lens and the iris, and as it passes through, provide nutrients to the lens, collects waste materials from the lens, passes through the opening in the iris, comes to the front part of the eye, provides nutrients to the cornea, collects waste materials from the cornea and goes out of the eye through minute holes in between the iris and the cornea. And from here, it joins back into the blood. Isn't it wonderful? This area between the cornea and the iris, where this clear fluid or the aqueous moves out of the eye, is called the angle. It is called angle because the iris and the cornea meet there at an angle. Not just the cornea or the iris. This is an important place where the cornea, the iris, the sclera and the ciliary body, all these four structures meet. And that is how the cornea and the lens get their nutrients without a blood supply and remain transparent and provide us a clear vision. Now the major problems are solved. However, we know that the cornea is also an important structure. It is also a sensitive structure. So, to protect the cornea, we have the eyelids that shut or close when they sense danger. And to make this act of blinking smooth and to keep the eye moist, we have a thin transparent layer called conjunctiva. And this conjunctiva covers the inside of the lid and outer part of the sclera. And to help the eyes move in all the directions, we have 6 muscles in each eye. And these 6 muscles work synchronously so that the eyes move at the same time. So, to summarize, we have the sclera or the outer crust of the pizza. Then we have the choroid or the sauce. And then we have the retina. All the nerves from the retina go out of the eye through an opening in the sclera, form a bundle called the optic nerve and reach the brain. Then we have the clear jelly which fills the bowl and supports the inside of the retina called the vitreous. Then we have the idly shaped lens on top of the jelly. Then we have vada on top called the iris, which regulates the amount of the light. And then we have a transparent dome called the cornea, which focuses light from the maximum area onto the retina. Then we have the clear fluid called aqueous that is produced at a specialized structure called ciliary body in between the iris and the lens. Then we have the eyelids that protect the cornea and the whole eye. And then we have a thin layer called conjunctiva that lines the inside of the lids and the outer side of the sclera, which helps in smooth blinking and keeping the eye moist. And this is the eye that is designed wonderfully by the nature to overcome problems and obstacles to give us a perfect vision. So, please take care of your eyes. They are very precious.